Hello and welcome to our lesson on contract management lifecycle. Today, we're going to make things simple and clear as we walk through the complete contract management lifecycle. You'll learn step by step how contracts are created, what you need to do at each stage, and why each part is important. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand the basic steps in creating a contract, learn how to use contract management strategies for your own contracts, and know why each step is necessary. Contract management should be seen as a process that has a cycle of activities. All of these activities must be fully embraced by you to achieve the best possible outcome. By following these steps, you will ensure that you manage your supplier's contracts effectively. We'll go through 3 phases when creating a contract. The pre-award phase, before the contract is awarded, the awarding phase, when you choose the supplier, and the post-award phase, after the contract is given and completed. This is the first step. In the pre-award phase, you're preparing the ground for a successful contract. It's all about figuring out exactly what your company needs and gathering the right information before you create a deal. Here are the steps in the pre-award phase. Identifying your needs. The first thing you need to do is understand what you need. If you don't know what your company wants, you could end up wasting time and money. Remember that your procurement activities should always be aligned with the broader business objectives of the company you're working for. Create a contract management plan. A well-defined process and a clear contract management plan with a focus on outputs are necessary and should be in place before the contract is signed. Manage responsibilities. Contract ownership must be clear and set during the planning process, with responsibilities clearly defined to drive sustainable performance. Market research. After identifying your needs, it's time to research the market. You gather information about possible suppliers and what they offer. This step helps you to know who can meet your needs and what the prices are like. You might use the RFI phase of the procurement process to get detailed information from suppliers. Solicitation. In this step, you ask suppliers to submit bids or proposals. You prepare documents like the RFP or request for quotation as discussed earlier that explain what you need. Tendering process. The final step in the pre-award phase is the tendering process. This is where you invite suppliers to submit their offers. You'll then review each bid to make sure they meet your needs and are within your budget. Once you've reviewed all the bids from your suppliers, the next phase is the awarding phase. Here, you choose a supplier, finalize the contract terms, and make sure everyone understands what is expected. Here's what you will do in this phase. Bid evaluation and selection. After you get the bids, you review them to pick the best one. Make sure the supplier meets your needs and that the offer fits your budget. Negotiation strategies. Once you choose a supplier, it's time to negotiate. This means working together to make sure both you and the supplier agree on the terms. It's important to be flexible and clear about what you need. Document everything carefully to avoid any confusion later on. Contract formation. The final step in this phase is creating the contract. Make sure the terms are legally binding and both parties sign the contract. This makes the agreement, of course, official and enforceable. After the contract is signed, the post-award phase begins. This is where you manage the contract to ensure everything goes smoothly. Here's what you'll focus on here. Contract administration. You need to monitor the contract to make sure all the terms are followed. Keep track of deliverables, deadlines, and the quality of work. Here are some key aspects you should focus on at this stage. Contracts must be easily accessible, and ongoing contract management information and documentation must be retained and managed. There also must be mechanisms in place for identifying key contract trigger points, such as important milestones and notice periods. Regular and ad hoc reporting of performance information is crucial. Supplier performance monitoring The crucial step here is that the suppliers must understand the service they are requested to deliver. A performance management framework should be in place when the contract is signed, with objective incentives for the supplier to exceed the agreed performance standards. In this step, it's also important that you ensure that the supplier performance is assessed using clear, objective, and meaningful metrics. Regularly check if the supplier is meeting the agreed terms. This involves evaluating the quality of their work, making sure they're on schedule, and confirming that everything is being done as promised. Both regular structured but also informal communication must be organized to track progress. Relationship management. It's very important to develop strong internal and external relationships that facilitate continuous improvement. In supplier relationship management, you should focus on earning the supplier's trust by communicating openly and honestly. Make sure that you are always the single point of contact for your suppliers and they do not get into contact with other departments in your company without informing you first. Feedback. There should be formal performance reviews organized with your suppliers, with agreed improvement plans documented. Supplier dispute resolution. If any disagreements come up, it's important to solve them quickly. Clear processes should be in place in advance to handle disputes. These were the steps of the complete contract management lifecycle. To summarize, let's highlight the most important points that you should be considered during your contract management lifecycle. When managing contracts, it's important to get all the key information from your suppliers early on. Make sure both sides are clear on expectations. Keep your attention on the results you want to achieve together. In this lesson, you've learned the key steps for planning, creating and managing procurement contracts, the life cycle of a contract and the steps in each phase of the life cycle, and helpful tips for each phase and step to help you create your own procurement contract management process. By understanding these phases, you'll be ready to create contracts that meet your needs and to set you up for success. That's all for this lesson. See you in the next one, where we will discuss the importance and the success factors of contract management.